Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on and talk about some books. It is Monday morning and if you just clicked on my Whateverthon 48-hour readathon, which I will link up above and down below, so do go and check that out, then you know that I'm literally sitting in the exact same spot, exact same everything, because I just finished filming that one and I'm filming the next one now, which is my Whateverthon week 3 reading vlog starting today on Monday. Do let me know down below if you are participating in Whateverthon, what you're reading at the moment, if you're enjoying it. I would love to chat to you guys in the comments down below. For me, however, I am reading She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Chen, which is sort of a Mulan style historical fantasy novel that's set in China in 1345, I believe. It follows Zhu Chongba, who takes on the identity of her brother in order to achieve the greatness that he is fated to receive rather than the nothingness that she is fated to receive. It follows her through her time at a monastery, obviously where she has to pretend to be her brother, and then at the point where right now she's been cast back into the world, into the army fighting the Mongol rule, and she's sort of been given this opportunity to prove herself in order to become a commander in the army, so we're just kind of waiting to see what happens there. I am enjoying the book, I will say, but I am very confused. There's a lot going on, there's a lot of characters to follow, there's a lot of POVs, there's a lot of history to sort of wrap my head around, and I'm struggling to make my way through it at the moment. It's been a very slow read, but if you want to hear all about my thoughts so far, do go check out my Whateverthon 48-hour reading vlog because I chat all about all of it there. As for right now, I have videos to edit, aka the videos that I have just mentioned, which is my Whateverthon 48-hour reading vlog, and then my week 2 reading vlog, which I will link up above and down below if you want to go and watch that. So I'm going to go and edit those, and then I'm going to read some more of this evening, and I'll update you guys when I have something more to say about it. I won't lie, it is Thursday right now and I have been struggling this week. If you can't already tell, have a cold. I'm all coughy and sniffly and gross, and I've been getting no sleep, which means I've been doing hardly any reading, and because I've been trying to power through a book that I'm actually not really enjoying, it just kind of adds to it, so I'm in a proper slump, hence why I haven't updated you guys since like Monday. But I have some really good news on the life stuff, which is that my landlord is coming to visit on Saturday to drop off the chest of drawers, a new sofa, a new bedside table. We've got a washing machine bought, which is going to be delivered next Friday, I think it is. So finally things are starting to turn around. The flat is finally coming together. I feel like now Ben and I are actually in that state where we can properly enjoy the place we're living in rather than be constantly stressed by it. But it's kind of the opposite situation for the book I've been reading, which is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Chen, which I have now DNF'd at 215 pages. And I will just say I was comfortable DNFing this because I was told by the powers that be, aka the Discord channel, that because I'd spent so much time and read over half of the book, I can still count all the prompts like that I wanted to associate with this book. I can still highlight those on the bingo board as if I had actually finished the book. So yeah, I felt confident DNFing this knowing that it wouldn't have any sort of bingo related implications, but unfortunately the implication it has had is that it has put me a good couple of books behind schedule. Anyway, as for the reasons why I DNF'd it, this book I have to say wasn't bad, it just isn't my thing. It's definitely a military fantasy and I am not the sort that sort of enjoys that subgenre. I'm definitely a fantasy romance, paranormal fantasy, that sort of thing. That's what I like, very heavy on the fantasy romance, and this just didn't have that. There were also a lot of characters to remember and a lot of POVs that it was swapping back and forth between, so I felt like I was constantly confused, constantly trying to play catch up on who everybody was. I never fully came to terms with any of the characters' like histories or backgrounds or any of their relationships. I just never knew who was assigned to sort of which political group, and yeah, it was very confusing. And then lastly, the language was very descriptive, which is great, but I'm a plot driven person, so I like it to be a little less descriptive than it was in this book, which meant that I would tune out for, you know, whole paragraphs and then return my sort of attention to the book feeling like I could just keep going and not reread the paragraph that I tuned out for, because I felt like I didn't really miss anything. And maybe that's why I was so confused about so many of the characters, because I was actually missing important information. But there was just a lot of language and descriptions that I didn't think were overly relevant to the general plot, and so I wasn't as interested in them. But yeah, anyway, I have DNF'd this book at 215 pages. I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys military fantasy, anyone who enjoys like Chinese history. It is fascinating. It is very symbolic and very sort of, it has a lot of meaning behind it, and I love that, but it's just not something I enjoy. But as I said before, I have been allowed to check this off on my schedule and my bingo board as if I've read it, because I spent so much time on it. So we've got the schedule here where you can see I've just highlighted that section to say I've read She Who Became the Sun, even though I didn't. Annoyingly, I got the color wrong there, so it's a double up, and that really irritates me. But anyway, as for where I'm supposed to be on this schedule, I'm supposed to have finished this book and be on the second half now, and I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be almost at the end of Gideon the Ninth, and I haven't even started the book that I'm supposed to be reading before Gideon the Ninth. Moving on to the bingo board, we are sort of properly completing it now. It is almost finished. I can't see it through the page, so I'm just going to put it on the side here. We highlighted for this particular book a less read genre, that being a military fantasy. Weapon on the cover. Now, this one's a little bit of a stretch because whilst there isn't a weapon on the cover of my edition, unless you count a dragon a weapon, there is a weapon on the cover of the, I think, US edition maybe, which has a woman with a sword on a horse, so I'm counting it. And then lastly, we've got Last Letter, First Letter, which is just because I read Loveless right before, and then She Who Became the Sun, obviously SS, that all makes sense. So we just have 2 bingo prompts left to fill, and this one is one I've annoyingly left right to the end. So whether or not I'm actually going to be reading Namesake next will completely depend on what color I pick for this prompt. So I have a random color generator up here. This is sort of just the home screen. The yellow is not the color we're picking, so I will tap the screen and see what color we get. If the screen will work. There we go. We've got a sort of nice blue, sort of teal kind of color. I really like that color. Conveniently, Namesake, the edition that I'm planning to read, has this sort of teal blue like background in the sea there, so that kind of works. I promise that's not planned, that's a complete fluke. Like that's gonna be the color. So we're gonna read Namesake next. The other thing that I need to do is create my bingo board for the next round, because obviously I am going to be continuing with this, continuing checking things off of the second bingo board. So I'm gonna do that now, and you guys can, I guess, watch me do that. Better now. It has been a week of illness this week for me, unfortunately, hence why my updates have been lacking and why this vlog is probably going to be very short. But I did want to jump in here on Sunday, the last day of this week's reading vlog, and just give you an update on what I've been reading, what I've finished, what I'm in progress with, all that sort of stuff, so you guys kind of know what's been going on. For a quick life update, the last few weeks have been absolutely manic in terms of work, in terms of sorting out the flat stuff, and luckily this weekend pretty much all of the flat stuff that I've been talking about in previous videos has been pretty much sorted, which is perfect. I'm so glad we met the landlady. She's lovely. Everything has been sorted out, so we are cooking with gas. But the work stuff remains hectic, which means my reading plans have gone massively awry, and I'm probably not going to get to much of the sort of second bingo board that I really wanted to get to for this readathon. But as for what I've been reading at the moment, I did both start and finish Namesake by Adrienne Young. I read this book on ebook on my phone, I think on script. As for what Namesake is about, I can't really tell you because it is the sequel to Fable by Adrienne Young, which is the first book in this duology. Fable follows a character by the name of Fable, who is a 17-year-old girl who is abandoned on the island of Javal, I think it is, by her father, Saint, who is the most well-known trader in the Narrows, which is where she lives. Using only the skills her mother taught her, Fable has to survive on this island and eventually make her way off of it with the help of West, who is a helmsman in the Narrows who has been sort of paying a special amount of interest in her in accepting the goods that she's trading over the last few years while she's been stuck on Javal. And she essentially wants to leave Javal to reunite with her father and prove to him that she is worthwhile being brought back into his trading ships. So that's kind of what Fable is about, and then Namesake follows on from there. The plot definitely expands a lot more. There's a lot more characters, and there's a lot more like mystery and intrigue brought into the plot, which I did enjoy. But again, this was just like another 3-star read for me. I will link my video where I talk about Fable up above and down below so you can see my thoughts on that. But it was 3 stars then, and this book is 3 stars as well. Just like with Fable, I did enjoy this book, but I didn't really fall in love with it. I did like that after a certain series of events sort of ended in the first book, Fable had to sort of earn her way back onto the crew. There was definitely a lot of mistrust, and it wasn't this just immediate acceptance back into the crew. But I thought West's willingness to go along with literally everything she said, and also put his family out massively in order to protect her, was just a little bit too red flaggy for me. It was way too obsessive. The plot of this book, I will say, was sort of generally interesting, but towards the end there were so many twists and turns in Fable's plan that you never really knew at the end of the day what her plan was, what she was actually trying to achieve. And when it came to that big scene where everything's supposed to come to a head, you're kind of like, did you plan this, or is this someone just like saving your ass? But I did like at the end of the day that the ending did come full circle in a way. Everyone sort of linked back into the place where they're supposed to be, where they're, you know, going to be most happy, and you got to see some of those older characters return, which was nice. But yeah, it was a meh kind of read. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. As for what I'm reading now, we are moving on to the second bingo board, which you would have seen me create in previous clips. And the first book for the second bingo board is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. As you can see, I'm up to chapter 10 in this. I am reading the audiobook version of it because I don't have the hard copy on me. I'm gonna be honest, I am a fair way into this book, but I still don't really know what it's about, so I'm going to read you the Goodreads profile for it, which says, "The Emperor needs necromancers, the 9th necromancer needs a swordswoman. Gideon has a sword, some dirty magazines, and no more time for undead bullshit. Brought up by unfriendly ossifying nuns, ancient retainers, and countless skeletons, Gideon is ready to abandon a life of servitude and an afterlife as a reanimated corpse. She packs up her sword, her shoes, and her dirty magazines and prepares to launch her daring escape. But her childhood nemesis won't set her free without a service. Harrowhawk Nonagesimus, Reverend Daughter of the 9th House and Bone Witch Extraordinaire, has been summoned into action. The Emperor has invited the heirs to each of his loyal houses to a deadly trial of wits and skill. If Harrowhawk succeeds, she will become an immortal, all-powerful servant of the resurrection, but no necromancer can ascend without a cavalier. Without Gideon's sword, Harrow will fail, and the 9th House will die. Of course, some things are better left dead." I am, like 10 chapters into this book, and I'm really confused by it. There is a lot of gruesomeness. There's a lot of people talking about like coughing up blood, and there's just a lot of descriptions of blood and bones and skeletons and everything, and I'm getting really uncomfortable at times when reading it, which I don't know if that's the intention here. I don't know if it's supposed to kind of make you feel physically ill with the level of gore that it goes into. Maybe I'm just not used to this genre of fantasy. There is a lot of manipulation involved in this book in terms of one of the main characters, Harrowhawk, manipulating her entire house to believe that her parents are alive when actually they're dead, and then the elements around how they died are very, very mysterious. It's not clear whether like they just kind of gave up or whether they were killed. They're clearly involved in some sort of courtly game that the Emperor has created in order to find the perfect necromancers, but it's not really clear on what that game is. I find Gideon very, very abrasive, very, very abrupt. I don't like her at all. And then Harrowhawk is just mean and just manipulative and horrible, and she clearly has her own agenda about like why she wants to become one of the Emperor's necromancers. And based on what Gideon says, it seems like she's trying to go for her like world domination, and it's way too like dictator-y for me. So I'm not loving the book at the moment, and I'm very confused by it, but I'm gonna keep listening to it. I will say, like, I shouldn't be listening to this book alone. I should be reading a hard copy at the same time as well, because I just don't take the content in as well when I'm only listening to it. You know, it's so easy to like tune out and get distracted by other things, and then you miss a part, and then you're like, oh shit, and you have to skip back a few minutes. And yeah, anyway, I'm just confused by the book at the moment, but we're gonna keep going, we're gonna keep powering through, and I will let you guys know when I have another update. But as for right now, I'm going to, listen to the book and do some more unpacking, because the furniture that is supposed to be coming into this flat is finally here. It arrived arrived yesterday, so I've got a new chest of drawers sitting right there waiting for me to unload all of my crap into it. It is Monday morning, so we are at the end of week 3 of Whateverthon, and I checked my calendar just at the beginning of this week and realized that technically we'll have like 5 weeks roughly, because I did not sort the whole week plan for this at all. But you'll get another vlog, another unexpected vlog for Whateverthon, which is exciting. As for my reading update, I finished Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir last night. I can't remember if I told you guys what that book is about. I think I did, but if I didn't, I'm sorry, don't come for me. And I gave this book 3 stars, and I won't lie, part of the reason why I got 3 stars was because I didn't pay attention for a lot of this book because I was only reading it on Audible, so I was sort of tuning in and out and discovered that only reading things on Audible is not the way to go if I really want to absorb the content, because I'm just missing things as I get other things in my life done. But it was great because I smashed out a book and got a bunch of life admin done at the same time, so it kind of worked. From the parts that I did listen to, I noticed from the very beginning that there was a major cast of characters to keep track of, and I got to the point at the end of the book where I was like, I don't really know who is who and who's doing what. I just know there's a bad guy in this scene and a good guy. I know the names of the good guys. I don't know the names of the bad guy. Don't care about that. I'm just rooting for the good guy. I genuinely just couldn't keep track. And then there were fight scenes, I think every 5 pages or so, which were sections again I kind of tuned out of. I'm not a huge fan of like really descriptive fight scenes, especially with the descriptors in this book because they were gruesome. So in that way, it wasn't really my kind of book. But what boosted the star rating up a lot was the fact that I did keep coming back for more. I did keep wanting to know what was going to happen next, which tells me that the way it was written was in such a way that really vibed with me, in a way that I really enjoyed, and there was a lot of like moving parts in the plot that kept me coming back. It was sort of like And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie had a baby with like a zombie skeletal person, and this book was born out of it. It's like a murder mystery, fantastical sort of thing, which I found really interesting, and I did, for the parts that I pay attention to, enjoy the sort of mystery aspect of this book. Whilst it did take me a little while to really get to know the characters and really start to like them, I did start to like them. I think in my last update I said I hated the 2 main characters, and I still don't love them. I think they are incredibly morally grey, but that's just sort of by the nature of this book and the world that they live in. They're not supposed to be your sort of perfect hero heroine sort of character. So I did kind of like them towards the end. I liked their charm, I liked their commitment to each other and how they sort of hid that for so long, and all the secrets that were uncovered about their world as well. But yeah, it did just take me a little bit to get past their very prickly personalities. So Gideon the Ninth was the first book for my 2nd bingo board, and I don't think I showed you the end of my 1st bingo board with all the squares colored in, and I can't show you it now because I've thrown it out since, because I didn't see the point in keeping it because it looked kind of shit towards the end because my highlighter started to run out of ink. So what I can show you is my schedule, which basically just has Gideon the Ninth highlighted up the top here. If you're wondering where I'm supposed to be right now, it's the 20th of June, so I'm supposed to be down here. But luckily we've got Addie LaRue up here, which hopefully will be a quick read. Then we've got 2 graphic novels, and then this is a mystery. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get through the next couple books really quite quickly. And then in terms of my bingo board, this is what we're working with at the moment. Under 300 pages was given to Namesake by Adrienne because the ebook version that I was reading was under 300 pages, so that counts even though it's stretching a little bit. Different format was for Gideon the Ninth because I read it in audiobook. Less read genre was also for Gideon the Ninth because it was sort of like a paranormal murder mystery fantasy thing, I don't really know. And then Weapon on Cover was also for Gideon the Ninth because there was a massive weapon on the cover, so that one was kind of obvious. But yeah, that is the end of Whateverthon week 3. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog, even though it is a lot shorter than I sort of intended for it to be. There was just a lot going on, and then I got ill, and then there was work, and it was not a good week. Let me know down below if you are taking part in this readathon, what you've been reading over the past week, whether you're enjoying it, if you're not enjoying it, if you've read any of the books that I've read and what your thoughts were on them. I love to talk to you guys in the comments down below, and I do my best to reply to every single comment. As always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell all down below to be notified when I release new content. It is a really easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!